Alright folks, so I've been doing a lot of stuff on wood carving, stuff like that lately. I should have a project video up right around when I do this. That's not the right one. And the other day I went to use one of my utility blades and I noticed, see, it's all beat up through here. And I was just going through videos because I was about to throw an edge on it and get those rough bits out. Realize I've never shown you guys how I actually go through and sharpen my knives, whether it's a utility knife, various carving blades. Gouges are a little bit different, but I gotta start somewhere, so I'm going to walk you guys through putting an edge on this. So with that said, let's flip this around and we're going to go through my rough sharpener, which I very rarely need, but I keep for issues like this when it comes up. The sharpeners I tend to use a lot because this one starts at 400, which is the equivalent of 400 grit sandpaper. You take it to 600, then you go to this one, red side, which is, I forget the ratings on them, but that's more aggressive. That is I think it's extra fine. Pretty sure it's extra fine, so that would be fine, extra fine. And then the trusty strop. These things, if you're not using them on a blade, I thought people were just full of it when they were telling me you got to use one. After I bought one for doing wood carving, they're not. They're worth every penny, and you can get them for like 20 bucks. So if you care about your edge, if you care about your knife edge, these are definitely worth it, because even if you're just carving away, do this about 30-40 times, and I'll go into the actual technique of it with the lapping compound that I put on it. Flip it over to the finer side, do the same thing. You don't need a lot of force or downward pressure. I'm not double checking this, but if you do it the right way, this will go from kind of sharp to you can take one pass and take clear every hair it touches with about 30 to 40 reps per side. It's crazy. So that said, let's flip this around. We'll get started. Hey, while I'm thinking about it, so did you guys know that you can support me for not spending a cent by hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing my videos? It doesn't cost you a cent. It helps the algorithm see me a whole lot more, and it's totally free for you. It just takes 3 clicks. Just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks, bye. All right, so you guys are gonna get a nice bird's eye view of this. So again, this is the one that's got the chewed up blade. You can actually see the dings and dents in it. So, sorry, I got a cord that might be in the way, so I'm just gonna run it through my arm here. So what I'll do is I hold the blade about 20 to 30 degrees. I've done this enough to where I don't use an edge guide anymore, or an angle guide anymore. When you're starting off, I highly recommend, if your sharpener doesn't come with one, buy one, pop it down on there, and just take your time. When you're doing this, there's no rush. But I like to do 5 to 10 strokes, depending on what I'm doing. Like for as rough as this is going to be 10 strokes per side. So we'll just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Flip it over. It's the same angle, but I'm just pulling the blade against it, because you never pull the blade towards you. That's how you cut yourself. So that's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you kind of see where you're at. So that's when you just double check your blade. Like, I can already tell you that this is going to take a bit of time to get those nicks out of there where that black is. That's where some of the metal I've already stripped off is, but that whole blade is so chewed up, it's not funny. So I'm just gonna go at it. I'm not counting anymore. I will be in my head, but this is why I love these diamonds type stones for sharpening. This particular one is just an El Cheapo. I got a 2-pack off of Amazon. The nice thing about them is, like a traditional sharpening stone, after so long you actually have to either re-flatten it or replace it so you can keep your edge flat. These, they almost never go bad. As they get old, they don't pull as much metal off, and that's when you will need to consider replacing it. But I use a similar thing on my grinding wheels outside of on my lathe tools, but most people will never ruin one of these. I actually have 3 of this style. I just found a third one. I bought a second because I wanted a backup, and I thought I left the one at a show or dropped it somewhere. It turned up the other day, so like if I ever get to the point where I'm doing classes, I'll be passing those 3 around because they're all in great shape. But yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm just trying to cover everything I can think of in this. If you do have a slow speed grinder or sharpening bandsaw, you can actually use that to work the dings out of blades as well. So I could go out to the barn right now and get this to where the rough edges are gone, but I am trying to show you guys how to do this all by hand, which is why I'm not. You'll have to forgive me, I don't have good lighting in here. And like you can already see, ignoring that black speck there, there's 2 nicks still in there, and there's a couple smaller ones left. But I've got probably about 70% of what was in there out of it already in less than 5 minutes. So this is where you and when you're doing this, some people will say you got to actually flip the edge around. You can, but I find personally, as long as you're pulling it diagonally across and getting the whole blade every pass, that's really all you need to worry about. Because you don't want to get sharp, 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 dull, sharp, sharp. And actually, I don't like the serrations on this particular knife, so I'm just going to start working on sharpening them out. So if you do want to do that, you just start taking there, but you only worry about your actual cutting edge, because eventually these will go away with time and sharpenings and all that fun jazz. Oh, I just cracked my back. All right. I still have a couple of really deep ones right there, just in the very tip of this blade, so. Alright, but I'm pretty sure you guys got the point of this, or this stage. This is going to take some more focused effort on the tip, which is where I'm just going to actually do something like this. If you are going to use a trick like this, which I don't recommend until you actually are comfortable holding a consistent angle on the blade. By the way, this is the longest portion of this. The rest of these shouldn't take nearly as long. Getting all your rough bits out is the most time consuming and hardest part of reshaping an edge. And this one might not actually get to be perfect, but from this stage you can actually, it's not catching any hair at all, but if your blade's already sharp, you actually don't need this at all. This is just what I use for dinged up edges. And you can get ones that are even more aggressive than this, which is probably what I should have started with, but I don't have it, so. All right. All right. All right. So that's going to be as good as I take it for the dings for this time. Because the trick is you don't want to take it too much and then actually start grinding a lot of the blade away. Especially because this isn't a fine cutting tool, it's a work knife. So I'll deal with a few dings here and there. So then I just flip it over to the 600 grit side. This is going to take a little longer than it normally would because of the circular trick I used. It will throw your angle off a little bit because it's almost, at least for me, it's impossible to hold the correct angle the whole time. Sorry, sneaking a drink. Alright. That feels pretty good. We're going to see if we're pulling hair yet. It is starting to pull hair. if you do have arm hair, the ability to double check with that, that is a very effective trick. Another one, which I doubt it's sharp enough to really be effective yet. But take a piece of paper, don't mind that this is one of them. You just take a single sheet of paper and just pull it through. There's a lot of resistance in that, whereas something that's a lot sharper, you should be able to. You know, it takes next to no force at all, especially with a knife that I do keep honed. If you guys haven't seen, this is one of the this is a Werther wood carving knife. I love these things. They're made out of Dover, Ohio. I've got 3 of them. They're pricey, but I do really like them as well. I'm missing a couple of my new ones though, which is bugging me. I was gonna do a review on a few of them here in a little bit, but I gotta go find them first. But now we're gonna go to what I believe is fine. I'm pretty sure that is extra fine, like I said before. When you start getting into this, you do no circular motions. It's just this type of move the whole time. And the brand on this one, it is a little pricier, but it's DMT or Diamond something or other. I forget exactly what it's called. But and DMT is the best of the best when it comes to diamond sharpening tools. I went with a different one with the carbides on my grinder wheels, but that was because I didn't know this was a different company beforehand. This is a diamond plate on here, and then they manufacture it, and I don't know the whole process, but that's how they get the actual grit through the manufacturing process on a diamond stone. So if you ever hear someone refer to a diamond sharpening stone, this is what they're talking about. And the CBN wheels I have on my grinder are just a hair they're a hair less hard than this is. Because CBN, which is carbon, I think it's carbon boron nitrate. It's the second hardest material that you can get. And yeah, it's great stuff. And this should be about good to go. All right, we're still pulling a little bit. Now we're on to the extra fine side. Sorry, I had an itch. And I apologize for my voice. I was in bed all day yesterday with a migraine and just feeling sick as could be. So I'm still not at 100%, but I wanted to get some stuff recorded today, so I'm doing stuff that I know I got the strength for. But usually if you ever catch me out doing live carvings and stuff, which I've got a show coming up in June where they saved me a spot even though I didn't have the money for the show fee until hopefully this week. I will be doing live carving demos there. But zoned out for a second. But yeah, this is pretty much the only sharpener you'll catch me using at shows. Because when I'm doing carving, as soon as I feel it go dull, I either go to this or this, depending on how it feels. Because you can strop it so many times before you have to go through and put an actual edge back on it. But we're gonna try this again. That way you can kind of get an idea where we're at. It's still leaving kind of a ragged cut behind. Fun fact, paper is also the fastest way to destroy a cutting blade, which is why if you have anybody that sews in your life, if you use their fabric scissors on paper, they were likely to get extremely angry. That's why. Just the way the molecules are in paper, they're specifically lined up to destroy a metal cutting edge. But now for the strop. The trick with the strop, if you can, like I've got the full length of the blade on here, you want to just rotate the blade through so you can get the whole length hit. I'm going to back this up a little bit so you guys can see a little better, because this one is considerably longer. This is the rough side. This light colored junk on here is a grinding compound, which really helps with the feather edge that you get once you finish sharpening. Because what it'll do is it'll leave a microscopic edge on there that's so flimsy the first cut you make, it'll curl over on itself. And then your edge is gone after like 2 or 3 cuts, which is why if you ever take the time to put an edge on a blade, and it's no longer sharp after like 4 cuts of anything stiffer than tape or something like that, that's why the feather edge it literally went from pointy to bent over, and then you're trying to cut on something that's not sharp at all. This helps get rid of that. And this is just, and it doesn't matter what blade you're using. Like if I'm doing carving and I'm just doing this, I didn't believe how much leather could actually affect how sharp your blade is, but it really does. So that should be enough for the rough side. And then this is the smoother side of the leather. Now we're going to pull this tight. There wasn't much there. So much cleaner that cut is compared to the last one. And now we're just going to run it over this. And I know this is thrilling stuff, but if you do want to get into wood carving, you have to know how to do this kind of thing. This is the key to making the stuff I do look effortless. If you have a knife sharp edge, you can push that blade through wood like it's not even like a hot knife through butter. And this is where you get that ability, is being able to keep a good edge on your blade. All right, let's try that. All right, and you'll note I also got the blade cleaned up too. And now we're just gonna slice, slice, slice. 3 cuts, nice and clean, takes next to no force at all. A good chunk of our blade dings are out of there. Let's use that as a backer so we can see better. So I still see a couple of minor dings in the very edge, like up in the first 3/8 of an inch or so. Might be a 1/4 inch, it's hard. But yeah, once as I use it and sharpen it up, those will work out over time. Because I don't want to remove too much metal off the blade, because why? So that's every step there is to taking a knife from dinged up and beat up to the point where it won't cut anything, to sharp enough to where if you needed to, you could shave with it. And yeah, like I say, that's if you're going to get into wood carving, you need to be able to sharpen a blade and have it hold its edge. And I mean, it, for the most part, I mean, if you don't want to get the one I started off with, you need to get something along the lines of these two tools. You know, having the coarser side, the finer side, and the finishing strop. This is what I use 95% of the time. Yeah, but when I need it, it is nice to have that orange one. I have a black one that's the exact same thing somewhere. I don't know where it got off to. It might be in my, I think it might be in my backpacking bag, because, you know, for a field knife, I'm not going to take the time to put a razor sharp edge on it every time. And if I need it and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, I'm not going to take a half an hour to resharpen a blade. I'm going to put a rough edge on it to where it'll do what I need it to do and go. So, yeah. But with that, I will say, cat in the hat, Deppy Dat.